What is up guys, it's your boy Solheim here, back with another World of Warcraft video for the War Within, and today we have another gold making video for you, teaching you how to make gold in different ways, and today we are focusing on one singular profession, which is going to be engineering. I have talked about engineering in the past, it's time to revisit the topic, and I even recently made a video on making gold with engineering with Dragonflight crafting. Literally making, you can see in my bags right now, we have a bunch of Dragonflight reagents, and we are mainly making Ceravite bolts and then selling those on the auction house. That is a separate video about Dragonflight crafting. We are focusing on War Within crafts in this one, and we'll be doing an experiment in the background while talking about this as well. Now, as always, people that have my gold making guide for the War Within do have access to these videos a couple of days before they go public, and if you want to have early access to future videos like this, then check out that guide through the link down below, where you first of all get the guide itself, and you also get early access to videos, exclusive videos. Even right now we have 3 videos in exclusive access, one of which covers arguably the best way to make gold right now in the War Within, which I'm not planning on making public. It is an exclusive video to kind of give back to you guys and make sure that those methods remain intact and still have their relevancy, or like they are good for gold making. When gold making methods become public, they usually lose a little bit of their value, and this is just a way for me to help them retain their value while also giving back to you guys for supporting me at the same time. So check out the link check out the guide through the link down below in the pinned comment, and if you do buy the guide, thank you so much, it really means a lot to me. Now let's talk about engineering, shall we? So for this one, we're going to be starting off with identifying profitable crafts, and over here I'm using an add-on called Craft Sim. I made a video about this in week 2 of the War Within, and we're going to be doing a little bit of an overview of the add-on right here, so you know exactly what to look for to find profitable crafts for yourself. So you can see I have 4 boxes ticked off here. The specialization info is just to see what you need to have that benefits your craft. This one can be bugged, by the way, not all of the time it's accurate. Like sometimes whenever you're making professional equipment, it tells you to have multi-craft, and I have no idea why. But so not all the time is it accurate, but it gives you a pretty good indication of what specs you want to have when you're crafting a craft that you're currently hovering over. Then we have the crafting results on the right here, so we can see exactly how much gold we're making and where it comes from during the crafting process. And down here we have Craft Sim average profit and Craft Sim price details. In the price details window we can see roughly the gold we are expecting to make on this craft baseline. That means if I'm hovering over the handful of bismuth bolts, for example, you can see that crafting rank 2 is not profitable. Meanwhile, in the average profit window, it is profitable, and that is because this one right here calculates the profit baseline, not calculating your tools. So taking away the tool right here, this window remains the same. Meanwhile, this one, the average profit, has changed. So this window just helps you identify which craft could be profitable even if you don't have tools. So if you have green tools, you will still make profit if it's profitable here, even if you don't have tools. And at the moment, one craft is actually profitable here, and that is the whimsical wiring. You are literally making gold by crafting rank 2, even though you're probably losing that gold on the auction house cut, but profitable baseline, it's in the green. Now the real window you want to pay attention to is this one right here, the Craft Sim average profit, because as you can see, when I swap my tools around, this changes based on the stats you have with the tools you have equipped. So we can see I'm currently making 21 gold average profit per craft, or a 37% profit margin. That is the whimsical wirings. On handful of bismuth bolts we're looking at 13% profit margins, guy rating gear we have 8%, bottled brilliance we are literally losing gold, safety switch we have way more profit on this one, 54%, because somebody has flipped the market on this, I believe, or something is just very cheap. So this one right here, literally 54% profit right now. That is insane. Now they usually don't have the highest sell rate. I mean, you can see here 311 of them are sold every single day. Meanwhile, whimsical wirings have 37%, and we have 2.7k. So about 10 times more of these are selling every single day, which means if you want to mass craft here, like in the thousands, I would be making whimsical wirings, but you can also make some safety switches. Just don't make thousands of them, because they simply won't sell, or at least they will take a while, and by the time they sell, they might actually go down in price. You also have the entropy enhancers, we have 9% profit on those, and you're looking at pretty much anything with over 5%. The 5% is being eaten up by the auction house tax, basically, the posting fee, or the 5% deduction from the auction house. Anything over 5% you are making gold with. Now for me personally, I'm always looking at 15%, that way I make 10% as well. So 15% profit is what I'm looking for, and currently we have whimsical wirings at 37%, and we also have the safety switch at 54%. Now, one thing you might want to do, just to make sure these prices are the correct ones for you, is that you can go into options, so you go to settings, options, add-ons, and then you can go to craft sim. Over here, you can use different price sources. I always use TSM, and then in TSM you have these right here, which I believe are the default settings, and they give you the DB recent and DB min buyout prices, so you should always have the roughly correct prices according to your server, or I guess your region, because we're buying materials here, which are on the region-wide auction house. Now, what I'm going to do here is spend 100,000 gold on materials and craft items just to see that they are actually profitable in real time. So at the moment we can buy 4,500 bismuth for 95,000 gold, and then the rest of the 4,000 gold, or the 4,500 gold, will be spent on the frayed wirings to make those as well. So we need to have 1,500 frayed wirings, which means we might go a little bit over the price here of 100,000, but if so, it's just going to be a little bit over 100. So we need 1,500 here. Actually, we can just buy 1,000 at a time. So there we go, and then we buy 501. Now we're going to start crafting right now. We have 1,500 crafts to go through. I'm going to be doing whimsical wirings all the way through just to keep it simple. And something you might pay attention to is that the craft sim average profit has already gone down to 15%, because in the 5 minutes this took me to just log out, get the war bank transferred over to the other account, just so we don't we're never going to go over the materials that we just bought for. So if we proc resourcefulness, we will craft more, but it's all based on the initial 100k investment, because we don't have anything more to go through. So the profit in the last 5 minutes already went down to 15% due to one person undercutting the market on the whimsical wirings. Either way, we're going to do the crafts and then see exactly how much gold we are left with at the end based on a 100,000 gold investment. So before we start, we don't have any finishing reagents to use, that makes sense, nope, but we do have a flask. We want to get the crafting speed from 45% to 75%, so we're going to use a aerated vial of quick hands for 30% craft speed, and there we go. Now, one thing you need to have here, by the way, if you are doing crafts like this, make sure you have the invent buff. This one is typically meant to give you multi-craft, resourcefulness, and ingenuity, but for some reason, like several weeks ago, even over a month ago, Blizzard just took out the resourcefulness, and I don't know why. But either way, you get multi-craft, and that's good to have. So, there we go. Now, one more thing I will say while I have you guys here is that if you are doing this later down the line, make sure to have some files of bountiful seasons ready to go, because they give you resourcefulness during winter, and apparently winter hasn't started yet, but when winter starts, having this will be huge to your profit margins. Either way, I'm going to keep crafting now, and we'll check back in at the end of the crafting session to see exactly how much gold we have actually made. So, coming up at the end of our crafting session here, we have enough for one more right there, and we still have 14 bismuth left over, but we don't have any more frayed wirings, and I'm not going to buy any more of them just to keep the test somewhat intact. So here we go, we ended up with 2,969 whimsical wirings. That is almost an average of 2 per craft. We did make 1,500, and you can see we have 1,564. So we got enough resources awesomeness procs to get 64 additional crafts. Now, how much gold does that give us? Well, first off, one thing that isn't being tracked here is that I also got about 300 piles of rusted scraps, which I can then churn through to get even more gold by just scouring through scraps, or pilfering through, not pilfering through, but scouring through scraps and making gold that way. So we can get some gold back by actually doing that as well, and this character is even spec'd into that, so that is perfect. Just the more I craft, the more of those piles I get, and the more gold I get as well. It's basically a well-oiled gold making machine. So let's put up our Traders Gilded Brutosaur here, and remember, we put in an initial 100,000 gold on these items, and we ended up getting 118,000 gold back. So that is about 15%, 15 to 18% profit margins, and then you have to take away about 5% from the auction house, so we're still at least 10%, between 10 and 13% profit. That is not bad. It is also not insanely good, but also not insanely bad. Now, in general, I do not recommend making 3,000 of one item just to sell unless they are selling for like several thousand every single day. Basically, what I made here is the same quantity that is being sold on a daily basis, but that is across the entire region, and I am not the only one selling. Even here we have 20 sellers at the current lowest price, so for me to be able to offload these, it's gonna take some time, and chances are, before I get to sell them all, they might go down in price. Now, they might also go up in price. It is all a game of chance, and if somebody has the balls to actually reset the price. So typically though, the price tends to go down over time, and the more you make, the more of a risk it is that you lose your gold before you're able to sell it. So for a quote-unquote regular test, I would do something like 500 crafts and rather diversify. Maybe I would make 500 of the whimsical wirings, and then 500 handful of bismuth bolts, 500 gyrating gear, and maybe a couple hundred safety switches as well, because according to this right here, we're still making 39% profit margins on safety switch, and that is the average profit. Even if you don't have any tools, you're still making gold on safety switches. So that one is super easy, but once again, they don't sell that much, but they do sell. Even only quality 2, we have 311 sales every single day. It's not much, but I mean, it's a way to make extra gold. So I would recommend doing a couple hundred crafts of each, and then just offloading, and then filling up whatever sells. That is typically what I do and how I make gold. We are operating with somewhat low margins here, but that's what we get. I mean, it's a gold making, the gold making scene is very competitive at this point, and people are always pushing the profit margins down to the point where some people just quit. Some people don't want to see 10% profits, and when it's 10%, they just quit or don't make gold. And it is what it is. 10% I'm happy with, and that is what we have. Now, after the auction house cut here, we are making about 13,000 gold realistic profit, give or take. So this took me about 15 minutes to craft, 13,000 gold. That is still really good. That is over 60,000 or over 50,000 gold per hour. It's about 52,000 if I did my math correctly, which is not bad, but once again, it's not something you can consistently do over a long time. 15 minutes of crafting is already way too much, but for me it's the perfect activity to do on my second account, for example, while I'm playing on the main account, and that's what I did now as well. I actually did a time walking dungeon while I was doing this on the other account, so I got a level on my other character, leveled from 75 to 76, and made some gold at the same time. Now, we are at the stage where if you really want to make gold the way I am doing, then you need to have the blue tools that you get here from professions. So you need to have the blue tool, and you need to have 2 blue accessories, and the blue tool also needs to have a quality 3 enchant on it, so you basically need to be best in slot. Now, the good thing here is that if you're starting from scratch, you can literally get this today. You can max out your character in literally one day by doing the small acuity shuffle that I have a video about from like 2 weeks ago, where all all you're doing is going into enchanting, doing your weeklies, picking up your treasures, and then you literally get catch-up mechanics from disenchanting. Doing this right now, you can get over 1000 acuity, which is literally enough to buy all 3 of these tools, and then you can also buy some knowledge points books. You can get over 1000 acuity in about 1 hour's worth of time, and it's also super cheap, like 20,000 gold plus 1 hour of your time, and you can have blue tools like this. Now for the spec that I'm running with, it's all about, first of all, you want to have inventing, so I'm spec'd into inventing, then parts, and then you also want to have scrapper for the resourcefulness procs, and in ingenious you want to have halfway through here to get the buff that I talked about earlier today, which is this one right here. So if you want to copy my spec, this is it. This is the one that I'm doing. Either way, there we go, that's a video about engineering in the War Within, a kind of an updated one, and also talking about craft sim and how to use that to see the realistic profits before doing the craft, and that way you can identify which crafts are worth doing before even doing them. So hopefully this video was helpful to you. If it was, leave a like down below. Once again, check out my gold making guide for the War Within through the link down below as well, and thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you again in the next video very soon.